The Green Spider and the Submarine. Kelly Nole, Quaver TV. Chapter 1. A Father's Surprise. In the coastal town of Grand Pleasant, the morning sun peeked over the horizon as young Kelly stepped outside, determined to paint the porch as a surprise for his father, Ronnie. Armed with brushes and cans of vibrant green paint, Kelly's heart swelled with anticipation. As he meticulously coated each plank, Kelly's thoughts danced with visions of his father's proud smile when he saw the finished masterpiece. Oblivious to the world around him, he worked diligently, his movements graceful and purposeful. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Octavias, curious jumping spider, observed Kelly's efforts with keen interest. Fascinated by the boy's dedication and skill, Octavias skittered closer, his 8 eyes glittering with curiosity. But fate had other plans in store. In a moment of distraction, Ronnie, awakened by the sound of brushes against wood, emerged from the house. With a sleepy yawn and a stretch, he approached Kelly, his eyes lighting up with pride at the sight of his son's handiwork. "Kelly, my boy, what a wonderful surprise!" Ronnie exclaimed, his voice brimming with admiration. "You've truly outdone yourself." Heartened by his father's praise, Kelly beamed with joy, basking in the warmth of their shared accomplishment. Together, father and son applied the final touches, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds. But as Ronnie reached for the paintbrush to add the finishing stroke, disaster struck. In a moment of unfortunate clumsiness, he accidentally knocked over a can of paint, sending a cascade of vibrant green splattering onto Octavias, who had ventured too close. Startled by the sudden deluge, Octavias froze in shock, his once brown exoskeleton now transformed into a brilliant shade of green. Staring down at his new appearance, Octavias felt a surge of panic and confusion wash over him. As Ronnie rushed to apologize and clean up the mess, Kelly's heart sank at the sight of the drenched spider. With a heavy sigh, he couldn't help but feel responsible for the unexpected turn of events. Little did Octavias know, this mishap would set into motion a chain of events that would lead him on a journey beyond his wildest imagination. Chapter 2. A Curious Descent. In the quiet suburbs of Grand Pleasant, the aftermath of the paint mishap lingered in the air, a lingering reminder of the unexpected turn of events. As Kelly and Ronnie worked to clean up the mess, Octavias, now sporting his vibrant green hue, watched from a safe distance, his mind swirling with confusion and uncertainty. But as the hours passed, and the sun dipped lower in the sky, Octavias found himself drawn to the edge of the porch, his curiosity outweighing his apprehension. With a tentative leap, he landed on the ground below, his tiny heart pounding with excitement. As he explored the world beyond the porch, Octavias marveled at the sights and sounds of Grand Pleasant. From the gentle rustle of leaves to the distant hum of traffic, every sensation was new and exhilarating. But fate had other plans in store. In a moment of misfortune, Octavias found himself drawn toward a nearby storm drain, its gaping maw beckoning him closer. With a sense of trepidation, he approached the edge, his senses on high alert. But before he could retreat, disaster struck. With a sudden gust of wind, Octavias lost his footing and tumbled headlong into the darkness below. Spiraling down like a leaf caught in a whirlwind, he plummeted into the depths of the storm drain, his heart racing with fear and uncertainty. As he fell, Octavias's mind raced with thoughts of the unknown. What awaited him in the depths below? Would he ever see the light of day again? With each passing moment, the answer seemed to slip further and further away. Chapter 3. Depths of Discovery. As Octavias tumbled through the storm drain, he felt a sense of disorientation wash over him. The rushing water muffled his senses, and he struggled to maintain his composure as he was carried along by the current. With a sudden jolt, Octavias was thrust into a vast underground chamber. The darkness enveloped him, and he could hear the faint echoes of his own frantic chirps reverberating off the walls. With trembling legs, Octavias tentatively surveyed his surroundings, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. To his surprise, he wasn't alone. Shadowy figures lurked in the dim light, their eyes glinting with curiosity and suspicion. Among them was Raven, a cunning octopus with tentacles that seemed to dance with malevolence. With a quick flick of his ink-stained appendages, Raven darted forward, his beady eyes fixed on Octavias with an unmistakable air of disdain. Octavias, undaunted by Raven's hostility, squared his shoulders and prepared to defend himself. Well, what do we have here? Raven's voice dripped with sarcasm as he circled Octavias. Another lost soul, I presume. Not lost, just exploring, Octavias retorted, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. And I'm not afraid to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Raven chuckled darkly. We'll see about that, he muttered, his tentacles twitching with anticipation. As the tension between them simmered, Octavias knew he had to find a way to prove himself to Raven and the other creatures of the underground realm. With a steely resolve, he set out to navigate this unfamiliar terrain, determined to uncover its secrets and emerge victorious. Unbeknownst to Octavias, his arrival had unwittingly disturbed the slumber of a dormant menace lurking in the depths. The Grey, a sinister entity of pulsating darkness, stirred from its torpor, its amorphous form pulsing with malevolent energy. Chapter 4. The Quaking Abyss. The earth trembled beneath their tentacled feet, sending shockwaves of panic through Octavias and Raven. Dust and debris filled the air, obscuring their vision as they stumbled forward, their hearts pounding in unison. Raven's keen eyes scanned the chamber, his tentacles tense with anticipation. Stay close, Octavias, he warned, his voice barely audible above the roar of the collapsing walls. Octavias nodded, his senses heightened as he followed Raven's lead. With each step, they encountered new challenges, each more perilous than the last. A fissure yawned open before them, its depth shrouded in darkness. With a swift flick of his tentacle, Raven propelled himself across the chasm, his movements graceful and precise. Octavias hesitated for a moment, his eyes fixed on the gaping maw below. Summoning his courage, he leapt into the void, his heart pounding with fear. As they pressed onward, the air grew thick with smoke, its acrid scent stinging their senses. Flames licked at the walls, casting eerie shadows across their path. With nimble movements, Raven guided Octavias through the blazing inferno, dodging falling debris with ease. Each obstacle they faced brought them closer to their goal, strengthening their resolve with every step. Finally, they reached the chamber's exit, a narrow passageway leading to safety. With a final burst of energy, Octavias and Raven dashed through the opening, emerging into the cool embrace of the open sea. As they floated in the tranquil waters, their hearts filled with relief. Though their journey was far from over, they had faced the quaking abyss together, emerging stronger and more determined than ever before. Chapter 5. Awaking Depths. As Octavias and Raven floated in the tranquil waters, their thoughts turned to the mysteries that surrounded them. With each passing moment, the enormity of their situation weighed heavily on their minds. Octavias, with his emerald green exoskeleton shimmering in the gentle currents, surveyed the murky depths below. Beside him, Raven, a formidable octopus with sleek, ebony tentacles and piercing eyes, exuded a quiet confidence. We must find a way to awaken the others, Raven declared, his voice tinged with urgency. There's strength in numbers, Octavias. Together, we can overcome any obstacle that stands in our way. Octavias nodded in agreement, his 8 eyes scanning the dark waters ahead. In the distance, he spotted a cluster of cages, their metal bars rusted and worn from years of neglect. I have an idea, Octavias said, his voice tinged with determination. Follow me, Raven. I know a way to awaken our companions. With Raven by his side, Octavias dove beneath the surface, his agile form cutting through the water with ease. As they approached the cages, Octavias reached out a tentative tentacle, his touch gentle yet firm. To their surprise, the cages began to rattle and shake, their occupants stirring from their slumber. With each passing moment, the creatures within emerged from their enforced hibernation, their eyes blinking in the dim light. Among them was Zephyr, a stonefish with rugged scales and a steely gaze, exuding a quiet strength. David, a killer whale with iridescent scales and a graceful demeanor, floated nearby, his presence calming yet enigmatic. "We're free," David exclaimed, his voice filled with wonder. "But where are we? And how did we come to be here?" Raven cleared his throat, his voice somber as he recounted their grim history. "We were captured as specimens by scientists who are now long gone," he explained. "They perished from a pathogen known as the Grey, leaving us trapped in this underwater tomb. But one of the last ones turned on the systems to put us into hibernation, hoping to save our lives," Raven added solemnly. As the gravity of their situation sunk in, the group fell silent, their minds reeling with the enormity of their predicament. But amidst the darkness, a flicker of hope remained, a determination to escape the submarine and get home. Forget the truth of their captivity and carve a new path forward. Chapter 6. Alice. As Octavias and Raven ventured deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the giant submarine, they encountered a myriad of challenges. The dimly lit passageways were fraught with danger, from hidden traps to lurking predators. Their journey led them through a series of narrow tunnels, where shadows danced eerily on the walls, and the distant echoes of their footsteps seemed to reverberate endlessly. With each step, Octavias felt a sense of unease, gnawing at him, a primal instinct warning him of unseen dangers lurking in the darkness. Suddenly, their progress was impeded by a narrow gap in the corridor, too small for Raven to pass through comfortably. Octavias, however, had no such difficulty, his compact size allowing him to navigate the tight space with ease. As Octavias maneuvered through the gap, Raven followed closely behind, his tentacles brushing against the walls of the corridor. In a moment of carelessness, Raven accidentally nudged Octavias into the green coral that adorned the walls. To his surprise, Octavias vanished from sight, blending seamlessly with the surrounding environment. In a matter of moments, he had become invisible, his natural camouflage rendering him indistinguishable from the coral. Stunned by the sight before him, Raven could scarcely believe his eyes. "What just happened?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with wonder. Octavias chuckled softly, his voice echoing through the darkness. "I don't know," he admitted. "It's like I just disappeared." Before Raven could respond, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. In an instant, his body began to ripple and shift, his form blurring and distorting until he, too, had vanished from sight. Octavias blinked in surprise, his eyes widening with astonishment. "Raven, you're invisible," he exclaimed, his voice tinged with disbelief. Raven grinned mischievously, his invisible form hovering in the air before Octavias. "Not a bad trick, little brother," he quipped, his voice floating through the darkness. "Seems I've got a few surprises up my sleeve too." With a flicker of movement, Raven's form solidified once more, his familiar shape reappearing before Octavias's eyes. He flashed a wide, toothy smile, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Look, twins," he declared, his voice filled with playful enthusiasm. Chapter 7. The Maze of Challenges. As Octavias and his companions ventured deeper into the ancient submarine, they found themselves ensnared within a labyrinth of corridors and chambers. The dimly lit passageways twisted and turned, leading them into the heart of the vessel. They encountered malfunctioning doors that threatened to trap them within narrow corridors, flooded chambers that forced them to swim for their lives, and hidden traps that tested their agility and cunning. Each challenge seemed more daunting than the last, but Octavias and his companions refused to falter. With determination and teamwork, they devised clever solutions to overcome each obstacle they encountered. Octavias, using his keen intellect and resourcefulness, led the way, guiding his companions through the maze with unwavering confidence. Amidst the trials, Zephyr, the stonfish, shared a tale of a clumsy seahorse who found himself in all sorts of amusing predicaments. Why did the seahorse blush? Because it saw the ocean's bottom. Zephyr chuckled, the others joining in the laughter, their spirits lifted by the moment of levity. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they emerged from the maze unscathed. Octavias knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With their newfound camaraderie, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. Chapter 8. Trapped in the Labyrinth. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the group found themselves ensnared by a series of intricate puzzles and traps. Octavias, Raven, and their companions faced challenges that tested their wits and agility at every turn. The first obstacle they encountered was a towering maze of shifting walls, each adorned with cryptic symbols and ancient glyphs. With no clear path forward, they had to decipher the hidden messages and manipulate the mechanisms to navigate through the maze. In the midst of their efforts, Zephyr, the stonefish, decided to lighten the mood with a tale from the depths of the ocean. Why did the fish blush? Zephyr asked, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Because it saw the ocean's bottom. With laughter echoing through the corridors, they pressed on, their determination unwavering. Chapter 9. Race for the Cure. As Octavias and his companions delved deeper into the ancient submarine, they soon discovered the grim truth lurking within its shadowy corridors. Among the specimens trapped within its metal confines, some were not as fortunate as others. Afflicted by the same pathogen that threatened to consume them all, they languished in agony, their bodies ravaged by the relentless onslaught of the suffocating gray. With a heavy heart, Octavias realized the urgency of their mission. We need to find the cure, and fast, he declared, his voice tinged with determination. There's no telling how much longer our companions can hold on without it. Raven nodded in agreement, his eyes glinting with steely resolve. We can't afford to waste any time, he replied, his voice firm. But how do we know where to find the cure? And how do we even know it exists? Zephyr, the stonefish, spoke up from the depths of the chamber, his voice filled with a dry wit that belied the gravity of their situation. Ah, my friends, he began, his tone dripping with irony. You see, the cure is not some mythical elixir hidden away in the depths of the ocean. No, it is right here on this very submarine. Octavias and Raven exchanged puzzled glances, their curiosity piqued by Zephyr's cryptic words. But how do you know this? Octavias asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. Zephyr chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling with mischief. Why, my dear Octavias, it's simple, he replied, his voice tinged with amusement. You see, I overheard the scientists discussing their plans before they succumbed to the gray. They spoke of a cure, hidden away in a secret chamber deep within the bowels of the submarine. Octavias's eyes widened in astonishment, his mind racing with the possibilities that lay before them. Then we must find this chamber and retrieve the cure, he declared, his voice brimming with determination. With renewed purpose, Octavias and his companions set out once more. They had to get their legs, tentacles, or fins off to that cure. And as they ventured deeper into the heart of the submarine, they knew that their quest was urgent. Chapter 10. Revealing the Hidden Chamber. As Octavias and his companions pressed onward through the labyrinthine corridors of the ancient submarine, their determination burned brighter than ever. With Zephyr's revelation fresh in their minds, they knew that they were closing in on their elusive goal, the secret chamber that held the key to their survival. But the path ahead was fraught with peril, as they soon discovered. Traps lay in wait around every corner, their mechanisms cunningly concealed to ensnare the unwary. Yet Octavias and his companions proved themselves equal to the task, their sharp wits and quick reflexes, guiding them safely through the treacherous maze. At last, they reached the heart of the submarine, where the hidden chamber awaited them. With trembling hands, Octavias pushed open the heavy door, revealing a chamber bathed in soft, golden light. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a vial of shimmering liquid, the life force they had sought for so long. But their moment of triumph was short-lived, as a sudden rumble echoed through the chamber, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. The walls began to tremble, and cracks spiderwebbed across the ceiling, threatening to collapse upon them at any moment. Just as panic began to set in, David the killer whale sprang into action. With a heroic leap, he positioned himself beneath a crumbling section of the ceiling, shielding his companions from harm as molten lava cascaded down upon him. "David, no!" Octavias cried, his heart aching with sorrow at the sacrifice of his dear friend. But there was no time for mourning, as the chamber continued to crumble around them. "We need to get out of here, now?" Raven shouted, his voice barely audible above the din of destruction. With renewed urgency, the companions seized the vial and raced for the exit, their hearts pounding in their chests. But just as they reached the threshold of the chamber, disaster struck. A massive section of the ceiling caved in, blocking their escape route and sealing them off from the outside world. "We're trapped," Raven exclaimed, his voice tinged with panic. "What do we do now?" Octavias's mind raced as he surveyed their dire situation. With the chamber collapsing around them and their only means of escape cut off, their chances of survival seemed slim at best. But in the face of overwhelming odds, Octavias refused to give up hope. "We'll find another way out," he declared, his voice ringing with determination. "Together, we'll overcome this challenge just like we have overcome all the others." And with that, Octavias and his companions set to work, searching for a hidden passage or secret exit that would lead them back to safety. For though the road ahead was fraught with danger, they knew that as long as they stood together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. Chapter 11. A Tragic Loss. As the group ventured deeper into the heart of the ancient submarine, they encountered a series of challenges unlike any they had faced before. The dimly lit corridors stretched out before them, lined with rusted pipes and flickering lights, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Octavias led the way, his keen eyes scanning their surroundings for any signs of danger. Raven followed close behind, his tentacles twitching with anticipation as he navigated the maze-like passages with ease. Suddenly, they came upon a massive chamber filled with towering machinery and humming generators. In the center of the room, a pool of bubbling lava sent waves of heat radiating through the air, making it difficult to breathe. "Looks like we've stumbled upon the heart of this old ship," Raven remarked, his voice tinged with awe. Octavias nodded in agreement, his mind racing with possibilities. With a determined expression, he turned to his companions and outlined a plan to deactivate the machinery and stop the flow of lava. Working together, they set to work, using their combined strength and ingenuity to overcome each obstacle in their path. As they worked, they shared stories of their past adventures, finding comfort and camaraderie in each other's company. But just as they thought they had succeeded, disaster struck once again. A sudden tremor shook the submarine, sending them tumbling to the ground as the walls began to crumble around them. With quick thinking and even quicker reflexes, Octavias and Raven sprang into action, guiding their companions to safety as the chamber collapsed around them. In the chaos, David found himself trapped beneath a fallen beam, his strength waning as the lava crept ever closer. With no time to spare, Raven leapt into action, using his powerful tentacles to lift the beam and free David from certain doom. But as he did so, the lava surged forward, threatening to consume them all. In a moment of selflessness, David pushed Raven out of harm's way, sacrificing himself to save his friend and the rest of the group. As the lava engulfed him, David's final words echoed in their ears, a testament to his bravery and sacrifice. "Looks like I'm really feeling the heat on this one," David quipped, his voice filled with a mix of humor and resignation. With heavy hearts, Octavias and the others emerged from the chamber, their spirits dampened by the loss of their friend. But as they mourned David's passing, They also found strength in his memory, vowing to honor his sacrifice by continuing their quest to escape the ancient submarine. And as they braced themselves for the trials ahead, Octavias couldn't help but feel a sense of hope stirring within him. Perhaps, just perhaps, their journey was far from over after all. Chapter 12. Escape from the depths. The submarine trembled violently as the earthquake's aftershocks reverberated through its ancient hull. Octavias, Zephyr, and Raven clung to each other, their hearts pounding in their chests as they struggled to maintain their footing amidst the chaos. With a deafening roar, the hull groaned and buckled, sending torrents of water flooding into the corridors. Panic surged through Octavias as he fought against the rushing currents, his instincts driving him onwards in search of an escape. Amidst the chaos, Octavias spotted a narrow opening in the hull, a small breach where the metal had been torn asunder by the force of the quake. With a surge of determination, he propelled himself towards it, his companions following close behind. As they squeezed through the narrow gap, Octavias felt the icy embrace of the ocean closing in around him. The water churned and frothed, threatening to drag them down into its murky depths. But Octavias refused to yield to despair. With every ounce of strength he possessed, he pushed himself upwards, towards the shimmering surface far above. And then, finally, after what felt like an eternity, he emerged into the open air, gasping for breath as he broke through the surface of the ocean. Chapter 13. A New Day. As Octavias floated amidst the gentle swells of the ocean, he glanced back at the fluttering submarine, a sense of melancholy tugging at his heart. But as he turned his gaze towards the distant shore, a newfound sense of excitement and possibility filled him. With a flick of his legs, Octavias propelled himself towards the sandy beach, leaving Zephyr and Raven behind in the safety of the ocean. As he reached the shore, he felt a surge of exhilaration, knowing that he had escaped the confines of the submarine and was now free to explore the vast ocean that stretched out before him. But as he stepped onto the shore, Octavias's attention was drawn to a curious sight, a group of spiders scuttling along the sand, their colorful markings shimmering in the sunlight. With a sense of wonder, Octavias approached them, eager to learn more about his newfound kin. As he exchanged greetings with the spiders, Octavias felt a sense of belonging wash over him, knowing that he had found a community where he could thrive and grow. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow upon the tranquil waters, Octavias knew that he had finally found his place in the world, a place where he could be himself and embark on new adventures.